Okay, boys and girls, this story is one little, two little, three little pilgrims. But on the cover, I see one little, two little, three little pilgrims. And I see one little, two little, three little Wampanoag children. And I see one turkey. Now, here's a picture of a little Wampanoag boy watching the ship come. And that ship was called the Mayflower, and it brought the pilgrims to our country. One little, two little, three little pilgrims. Now, these are jobs that little pilgrim children did. They had to take care of the animals. They had to collect the eggs from the chickens, and they had to do their schoolwork. And they did their schoolwork just like you do at home. After dinner, they would get out their little books and horn books, and they would do it there at home. 4 little, 5 little, 6 little pilgrims. Now, another job that older children had to look out for the younger children. And do you see how she has, excuse me, she has some straps around the child? They were very worried that the little children would wander off into the forest and get lost. So they had straps that they put around them to keep them nearby. This little girl's doing something that pilgrim children did that you probably do. She's blowing bubbles because pilgrims were real people just like us, and their children like to play like we do. And this child is blowing bubbles. 7 little, 8 little, 9 little pilgrims. This little boy is eating. Now, he doesn't have a plate like we have. He has something that's called a trencher. They would take a slab of wood and they would hollow it out with a knife or an axe. And inside that little hollow is where they put their food. They often didn't have spoons and knives and forks like we did. They often just ate with their fingers from their trenchers. These little girls are playing with dolls. Now, if they didn't have a Walmart, they couldn't just go downtown and buy a doll. Their moms made them, and they often made them out of corn husks. The outside of the corn that your mom peels off when corn on the cob, when she's making corn on the cob, that's what they made their dolls from. Okay, so it says 7 little, 8 little, 9 little pilgrims, 10 little pilgrim boys and girls. Some of them are doing their jobs, minding their the littler brothers and sisters, taking care of the animals. They had to go to the water, the well, or down to the creek to get water. Some were playing bubbles. Some were playing they had hoops, and they got inside the hoop and they would ride down the road, down the street with it. Now, here's the Wampanoags. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Wampanoags. Now, they had to do chores too. The little Wampanoag girl is gathering firewood. She's kindling to start a fire because they didn't have electricity. They couldn't just turn on the stove. They had to build a fire if they wanted to cook. This little boy is fishing, and they didn't have fishing poles like we have. They would make a net and throw out the net and try and catch the fish, or sometimes they would use a spear. A spear is like a long knife, kind of like a knife. It has a blade on a handle, and they would kind of stab at the fish to catch them. 4 little, 5 little, 6 little Wampanoags. Okay, this is a baby, and he's just under a bear skin. They didn't have blankets like we have. They had to use animal hides. When the animal died, they'd skin it out, and they'd use this hide, his fur, to keep them warm. Some of the Wampanoag girls cooked. This little Wampanoag boy is making an arrow. They use bows and arrows to hunt. 7 little, 8 little, 9 little Wampanoags. Those little Wampanoag children are gathering berries. They didn't have a Walmart or a Martin's to go get food. They had to go out into the woods and either hunt the food or pick the berries. That's how they ate. 10 little Wampanoag boys and girls. Now, they did live near the shore, so they could catch fish and they could dig up lobsters and clams That's a kind of seafood, so sometimes they had to go down and dig to find those, to find the clams. That's what they're doing in this picture. Digging for clams and fishing for cod. The clams are down in the sand and they have to dig them up with those kind of forked sticks. And then they take them back and cook them. And they're in shells, and when you cook them, the shells open. And then you can eat the little clam. Hunting for ducks, rabbits, and geese. Now, this is little boy's making a trap. He's bending a sapling down, and he's making a ring, and he's putting something in there like little pieces of corn that the animals will want to eat. And when they come inside the ring, it will spring and it'll catch them. Planting crops of corn and beans. Everyone has a job to do. Digging for turnips, carrots, and beets. Those are some of the vegetables that the Pilgrims grew in their gardens. Turnips, carrots, and beets. Some of you probably eat carrots. We eat carrots here at school a lot. Gathering nuts, berries, and squash. Look, they're shaking the tree to make the nuts fall down. I want you to look at these houses. These are the kinds of houses that the Wampanoag Indians lived in. They're kind of made from grass and reeds, and they made them kind of rounded so that the rain would run off the top and wouldn't soak through and get them wet. Carrying baskets of barley and corn. Now it's time to celebrate. So the Wampanoags are coming and the Pilgrims are coming, and they're going to celebrate. 1 big, 2 big, 3 big turkeys, 4 big, 5 big, 6 big turkeys, 7 big, 8 big, 9 big turkeys, 10 big turkeys for the feast. Now, do you see them bringing the tables and the chair and the benches outside? Turkey, cornbread, cranberry stuffing, pumpkin cider, Indian pudding, clams and oysters, tummies growling. Let's give thanks, and then we'll eat. So the Wampanoags and the Pilgrims sat down together, and they ate their Thanksgiving feast. And they had turkey and cornbread and carrots, and oysters and clams, and fruits and berries and nuts that they found in the woods. The end.